Welcome to another community conversation. I'm your host, Ian Parkinson, and I'm here today with Sean and Trish Rooney from Dominic Strong. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So, July the 13th is going to be the Mavericks Superhero Night, starting at 7:05.
Yes.
We're pretty excited about it.
Okay, now, this is a big night, but this is also a fundraiser.
That's right.
A fundraiser for who?
So, well, for who is kids at the Alberta Children's Hospital. That's really why we do what we do. But we do it in memory of our son Dominic, who passed away in 2015. So, he was only 2 years old when he passed away, and he spent unfortunately most of those 2 years in hospital.
Right.
But just to explain why we do the thumbs up and why it's on all of our stuff, he was nonverbal, and so because he was only 11 months old when he was diagnosed, and he had a stroke and stuff like that with it, and so yeah, we taught him some basic sign languages, and thumbs up sort of became his trademark.
Yeah.
And so we do that at it's on our shirts.
I see it on your shoulder.
Stuff. Yeah, it's on the it's on that. So yeah, it's we talk about it as, that's the way you parent a child who's not around anymore, and we do that by raising money and giving back to great charities.
Okay, so this year on July the 13th, this year is a shirt year. In previous years, you've done...
Yeah, so every year the Mavericks like to offer something up for sale to help raise money for the Alberta Children's Hospital. And in the past years, we've done the jerseys, so we each have 2 different jerseys on. There's been about 3 or 4 different jerseys that we've done. We've also done socks, and we did hats last year.
Yeah, I'm wearing the socks today.
and hats and such, and they've all done really well, and everyone has sold them out basically. So they've decided this year that they're going to go back and try jerseys again, and hopefully that those sales go well.
Baseball jerseys.
Yeah, so it's basically these. It's the jerseys that the players wear.
So the players will
on
wear
the field.
jerseys, yeah.
Well, not all of them, but they'll have other ones in the store for sale.
Yeah.
But the players will wear these jerseys at Superhero Night and play the game and whatever. And
then after the third inning or so, they'll switch out of the jerseys back into their regular jerseys, and then people can literally buy the jerseys off their backs essentially.
Is it extra for sweat?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's. I mean, you're always free to give extra donation.
And we'll be there with the table, so that anyone can come by and see us and talk to us and
learn about the other things that we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Superhero Night, how does that work for the kids? What are they looking at?
Well, it's basically you're coming out to a baseball game and it's just superhero themed.
Okay.
So have the kids come out, wear their favorite costume, their favorite outfit or a mask or whatever they want to do. We're going to have the 501st Legions. We'll have some Star Troopers and...
So the 501st Legion is its own volunteer charity organization that's worldwide, and they basically dress up as dark side characters from the Star Wars universe. So we've had a very strong connection with the Force over the years, thanks to them, and so they've got members who will come out from Calgary and Swift Current, and they'll be dressed up in full regalia,
full costume. Their costumes are amazing.
These people, not these specific ones, have literally been on Star Wars movies. Really? That's the quality of the stuff they dress up in. So some of them will be there.
There might be some other superheroes. And they'll have some sort of superhero themed music and, that kind of thing. So it's just going to be a fun night to come out, sit in the ball game, cheer on the Mavericks and, help support a charity.
Yeah. So it'll be a very warm Halloween.
Very warm Halloween, exactly.
Yeah. So if somebody can't make the game but wants to donate, how do they contact you?
I think the easiest thing is just DominicStrong.com. All of our social media goes through there. Dominic Strong will, tell you about Dominic's story, which of course I blogged about since he was diagnosed. Was it 10 years ago now? 11 years? 2013?
Yeah,
2013 he was diagnosed. So you can learn all about it, because this is, of course, isn't the only thing we do. Learn about all those things, and there's donation links on there as a result, right? So if you wanted to donate
just directly to the Alberta Children's Hospital through our fundraising, you can go on to the website and find the links there to donate to us.
Yeah.
Okay. So you What other functions do you do during the year?
We do a lot of little things. One of our big things that we do is at the end of September every year, we host an online auction on our Facebook group, #DominicStrong. And we'll start asking for donations and stuff from people in July, and corporations and stuff like that. And we usually have between like 90 and 100, 110 different items on there. And they range from $5 items all the way up to, we've had like $1,500 items.
Yeah.
So huge span, lots of different varieties. So you can get something little if you don't have a lot, or, just want a little thing or whatever, or, larger items and stuff.
Christmas shopping done.
Lots of Christmas shopping and birthdays and such.
And every single penny that you spend in that auction goes straight to the hospital.
And every single penny that we raise at all goes directly to the Alberta Children's Hospital in Calgary.
Nobody else gets paid. It
There's
just
no
goes
side
straight to the...
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Alberta Children's Hospital.
Yes, in Calgary.
In Calgary.
Yeah.
Because when you're in southern Alberta, that's where and you get really sick as a kid, that's where they're going to send you.
Yeah.
It's great to have Medicine Hat Hospital as well, and we certainly support them too. But because Dominic spent pretty much all of his time at the Alberta Children's Hospital, that's the specialized care. That's the extra level of things when you've got
Those
cancer.
are the experts.
That's where you're going.
So tell me Dominic's story.
Go ahead.
He was a great kid. He was happy and joyful, and then that one summer, all of a sudden things changed. He got some bumps on his head that we thought were just bug bites, and took one quick trip in, and all of a sudden doctors were on the phone with the Alberta Children's Hospital, and we were basically told to go there, and that evening we were told he had leukemia. And it was, it's the worst day of your life, right? So
what was the process like? I mean, obviously you show up at the Alberta Children's Hospital, you're both in shock.
Yeah.
You've got a very young child who's very ill. What was the process? What were they like? How did they help you?
Well, they admitted us to the hospital, and then they allowed us a little bit of time to sort of process it. And then the next day, we did some additional tests, and then we sat down with them, and they said, okay, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. These are the chemos we're going to use. These are how long they're going to go for. These are the cycles, and gave us a plan for the frame of his treatment. And that was, it gave us at least a sense of like, okay, we know what we're doing. We can fight this. We can do this, because when you're given such devastating news,
Yes.
You need to be given that hope afterwards that there is something that you might be able to come out of this, like there is hope and stuff. So we went through the plan. They did some additional testing later on and found out that he actually had a very rare chromosome translocation type of cancer. And it had been 100% deadly. So no one had survived his type of cancer. So they changed the plan, and we threw in a bone marrow transplant. But like during this time, we had been admitted to the hospital in September. And I think the first time I came home with Dominic was in December. So I was allowed 1 or 2 days out of the hospital, where we went and stayed with some family in Calgary. And then we were back at the hospital, and we were in the hospital the entire time. During one of the years, I was tracking for our taxes or whatever, and I was in the hospital for over 300 days in one 12-month period for one calendar year. So I slept in the hospital. Absolutely. We lived in the hospital. People don't realize that when you go through something like this, you don't just go in for like a week and then you leave. Yeah. Some of the treatments are outpatient treatments for other types of cancers. With Dominic's, because of how aggressive and rare it was, everything had to be in hospital treatment. So we would go in and we would live in the hospital for 2 or 3 months at a time, go home for a couple days, come back for 2 or 3 months, come home. So the hospital became our family. Yeah. It became where Dominic and I lived. I had to leave my job, or actually I was on mat leave, so I didn't go back to my job. Sean was driving in and out of Medicine Hat to Calgary every weekend to come to see us. And then he would drive back and, spend the 2 days or whatever he had with us, and then have to drive back to work, the work week, because one of us had to be working. Yes. And then I lived with Dominic, and we lived in the hospital. I had a little window bed couch thing that I slept on, and Dominic had his crib, and that's where we lived for months at a time in the hospital.
And we were able to do all that. I mean, because of course, just one person's job really isn't enough. Yeah. And so, there were people who organized fundraisers for us. And if we didn't have all that support from this community, we would not have gotten through all of that, right?
Yeah,
So
the amount of money that was raised to help us and just pay our bills, and people would buy parking passes for us. And then there's a lot of other charities that, help support us while we were in our time of need.
Yes.
When we needed those charities and those help, they were there. The nurses were there, and all the support staff, the social workers at the hospital, like they're absolutely amazing at that children's hospital. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything better. They involved the parents with the treatments and all the talking. Like, every week we'd sit down with every doctor that treated Dominic, and we would go through his entire treatment plan for the week, where we were, where all the tests wanted to be, and everything like that. There's a lot of communication. They keep you involved. They know that you know your kid better than they do.
Yeah.
So they need to make sure that they talk to the parents, and they do. And like I said, I can't talk highly enough about the hospital. It's absolutely amazing what
I've
they've.
heard a lot of wonderful stories, especially coming out of the Alberta Children's Hospital, because it is it's traumatic enough that somebody is ill, but then to have a child that's ill and then be that far away from home.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and I think that's part of it, is that, like, our story didn't turn out well, obviously. There's lots of stories, and the stories you expect to hear are the ones who turn out well, and them saying nice things. You don't necessarily expect the people whose children die to come back and say, wow, because it was an awful experience, but at the same time, there were so many things that were good that we can look back and say we did the best we could.
And you did.
Yeah.
From where I sit, you did.
And just that the support that we got from the hospital, we just knew that now that we're on the other side of it, and after Dominic passed, and truthfully even before that, when he was going through the treatment, we knew that we had to support this hospital. We had to help them keep doing what they were doing for the other families and for us and for everyone that's going to use it, because it's such an important resource there. And then after Dominic passed away and we came home to Medicine Hat, we had a lot of support.
Yeah.
You mentioned a bone marrow transplant. Did that actually happen?
Yeah, so that happened in February. He went through a bone marrow transplant. We found a match. It was a perfect 10 out of 10 match. Couldn't have asked for a better match. So they basically wiped the body entirely of any bone marrow and all that stuff. And then they inject the new donor cells into them. And hope that the body will start reproducing the donor cells and take those over as the dominant source. Unfortunately, with Dominic, it didn't work, and his cells were stronger than the donor cells were. And so his cells took over and replicated again, eventually recreating the cancer, basically, that we had wiped out. And so we tried giving him boosts of bone marrow fluids and stuff like that, because we had extras available from the donation that was originally given that they kept frozen, and stuff like that. And unfortunately, nothing that they tried helped.
And so he ended up passing away actually during his wish trip to Orlando. Which in the history of Make-A-Wish wish trips, that's only the second time that's ever happened, from somebody in Canada dying during their wish trip.
So he went to Disneyland.
So
we went to Disney World. We went to Florida. I went to Disney World, and he spent the day at Disney World, and we went to the hospital that night, and everything was great. All of his numbers were where we needed them to be, because he was still very ill. Like, he was diagnosed terminal on December 24th. And we drove home and had Christmas, and we expected him to last maybe a couple months.
We were given weeks.
If that.
Instead, he lasted like 9 months.
He lasted 9 months. So he lasted long enough for us to plan a wish trip. So we planned our wish trip. We went down to Florida. Like I said, he had the day at Disney. The numbers were good at the hospital the next day, and then overnight he just started crashing. And apparently his numbers weren't showing the true picture or whatever.
The cancer had filled up his lungs is what had happened.
So, and then we ended up at the hospital in Florida, which is another Children's Miracle Network hospital.
So there's the connection, right? Extra Life deals with Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So Alberta Children's Hospital helped us. Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital helped us. So it was, we like to say that he took us to the happiest place in the world to say goodbye.
Well, that's Disney's line.
Yeah. Not to say goodbye.
Sadly, yes.
So, but yeah. So,
okay,
and
that
then
explains the Miracle Network wish list tie then So the Alberta Children's Hospital, are they a Miracle Network?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And same with the Stollery, and same with the Sick Kids in Toronto. Like there's so many of them,
all
right?
across
There's the
the
BC
country.
Children's Hospital. They're also Children's Miracle Network Hospital. So, and most, if not all, of the children's hospitals in the U.S. are also all under the network of the Children's Miracle Network Hospitals.
Yeah.
So people from all over the different countries can raise for all the different children's hospitals through.
Right, and that's the cool thing with Extra Life is that when you sign up for Extra Life, extralife.org, is that you pick a hospital to support, and so it's not just that, like a lot of these charity organizations you'll see, oh, donate to, I don't want to single anybody out, but but it'll go to like a national fund, and you don't know where your money's actually going. With Extra Life, because you picked the hospital, they are now beholden to send the money that you raise straight to that hospital. So it's
So
really
we know
nice
our
to
money
know.
is going.
Yeah.
So.
And you get your tax receipts and yada yada yada, but it's a good program.
So then, obviously, with the bone marrow transplant for Dominic, you're also advocates for transplant.
Oh, absolutely. We definitely think that people should go on the donors list and stuff of that. It's a lot of commitment, and it's a big ask of a lot of people. But it's needed. It's important. I donate blood. And, every 3 months or whatever, I go in, and my work all goes in together. There's a group of us that go all together and donate blood every month or every couple months, whatever, when we're eligible. If you're young and you're able to go on the bone marrow transplant list or whatever, it's huge, especially if you're a mixed ethnicity, because it's so hard to find matches for certain types of ethnicities and stuff like that. So, these people need it. It's hard to say because it's like it didn't technically work for Dom.
Yes.
Right? Technically, the bone marrow transplant didn't work for Dom, but it does work and is needed for so many other people. And that's the thing, like we keep saying, well, we're doing this in memory for Dom because there's so many people that still need this. There's so many people that still need the help. We're not there anymore. Our daughter now is very healthy and has had no health concerns at all. Yeah, exactly. But, we know families that are still in there. And even if we don't know them personally, we've been there. We know what it's like to be in their situation and in their shoes. And we just are trying to do what we can to give back and try to make it a little bit better for the people that are going through it, and, help support the hospital that's trying to be there for the families going through the worst days of their lives. Yes.
Well, on behalf of the children of Alberta, thank you for all your efforts.
Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone that supports us.
Yeah,
we are so lucky to have so much support in this town. Even after Dominic passed and we had his funeral service, and it was beautiful, and like 350 people showed up for his funeral service, and we laughed and we cried and we had a little dance party because Dominic always loved to dance. And even since then, supporting our online auction, and things like that, we get so much support from people and businesses and, just individuals that are like, I want to donate something. I want to help. How can I help you guys do this? And without that, we wouldn't be able to do anything. We would have nothing to auction off if we didn't get all the donations, right? We wouldn't be able to have the Mavericks Superhero Night if the Mavericks, weren't willing to do the Superhero Night fundraiser for us. Yes. It's because of what an amazing community and city and stuff this is, that we're able to do what we do. Because without the support of everybody and everything, we can't do it on our own.
Yeah.
Right? We're only two people, We help to facilitate it all. We try to organize it all, but we can't do it without everyone else. So we are just so thankful for all the support and everything that we've had over all the years that, the 10 years, 11 years that we've been going through and dealing with everything.
So you've got the auction, you've got Superhero. Anything else?
So now we should probably explain how it all sort of relates. And so, when we were looking at charity organizations to get involved with, lots of people do marathons. I'm not a marathon runner. And that's great, people who do that. Like that's one way of raising money. But we found an organization called Extra Life, which is basically video game and board game related. And so Extra Life is a subsidiary of Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, and Children's Miracle Network Hospitals gives funding to the Alberta Children's Hospital. So Extra Life is basically a video board game. Basically, their main event, and this was what we were getting at, is a 25-hour-long marathon of gaming that you do once a year. Some people do it more, but we'll do it. It's
beginning of November every
beginning
year.
of November every year, and we'll just play games of all sorts for 25 hours straight, and ask people to basically sponsor us. And we'll do crazy things, and I've eaten way too many hot sauces and stuff like that.
Well, if people
torture
donate,
ourselves for charity, that kind of thing.
If people donate during that time, we'll roll dice, and the rolled dice will then align with certain things we'll do. Whether it's run around outside balking like a chicken, whether it's putting on a onesie, whether it's the guys getting their makeup done, fingernails painted, drinking hot sauce, or just all sorts of different crazy things that we'll do to help raise money for the Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
So this is while you're gaming?
Yeah, during the 25 hours that we're gaming.
So you've got like 50, 60 people in a room?
Well, our group is about 20
Yeah.
or so that we usually game with.
And we have done live events in past
Open to
years,
the public and stuff.
but that won't happen this year. It'll probably happen next year. And we did one 2 years ago. We did a live event.
Okay.
So it sort of depends. Like, we don't want to do them every year. It is a lot of work to do. But yeah, and the thing is, we encourage other people to do it too.
Right.
Like, that's a big part of, getting the word out, and doing Superhero Night even is letting people know, hey, there's this Extra Life thing. If you want to give back, to kids, in this region, who need those services, and you love video games or board games, something like that, you should check this out.
So that'll be held here in Medicine Hat sometime in November?
Yeah, so that'll happen basically at one of our houses, right? Our house, our friend's house. So that won't be a public event this year, but we will live stream it on Twitch.
Okay.
And of course, through our Facebook
Live.
page, there's lots of ways to sort of see what's going on.
We'll post
While
photos
we're
and
doing
videos
that.
and all sorts of stuff on there. during
Okay,
the
so is
25
this
hours.
by invitation or?
It's just sort of whoever's already in our group. But if there's other people that want to do Extra Life or the thing or whatever, again, they can contact us through the #EconomicStrong website, and then we can help them, either set it up themselves or help support them or give them information or all sorts of things. So.
Yeah.
It sounds very interesting.
It is.
It's a lot of fun, and it's very open-ended. Like, you basically do whatever you want.
Right.
The important thing is that you're telling people that you're doing something awesome and looking for support. And if you want to join in as part of that support, great. We love all of our friends who have joined us over the years and stuff like that. So.
Well, I wish you well on July the 13th.
Thank
It
you.
sounds like it's going to be a hoot.
Yes, it always is.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
I'm going to say, well, the only other thing we do is we're actually going to Kansas City in
Yes.
July. And that is related to the Extra Life annual conference that they host every year, where gamers from all over the world and the US and Canada all come together for a weekend, and we compete in gaming. On board games, video games, whatever, and raise money for our Children's Hospital. So we are headed to Kansas City in July for the two of us to compete in some board games to hopefully raise some money for the Children's Hospital.
Well, I hope you have an enjoyable and uneventful trip to Kansas City.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes.
it's going to be fun.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
This was another community conversation. Thank you for watching.